No matter what, people will commit to misunderstanding you. What's most important is your commitment to understanding yourself. Hello, you guys. My name is Nkirka Madani, known as NK, and welcome back to Misunderstood. Listen to this when life doesn't go as planned. Today we're doing an emergency episode. I wasn't planning on recording today, and I actually already had a pre-recorded podcast scheduled for this week, but I'm pushing that one to next week because life truly did not go as planned, and I actually just came home from the hospital. I have my hospital band on if you're watching on video. I thought it would be a really important time to tell you guys what happened, as well as, of course, integrate it into a learning lesson and a theme that you can take away. I feel like all of my episodes are formatted in such a way where I share my life experiences, but I storytell within them and make it make sense to other people and hopefully help other people who might be going through the same exact thing. So we will be, of course, unpacking what happened yesterday, and let this also help you if you are going through a life event that was unplanned, or if things are just not really going great in your life right now. I feel like this is definitely an episode that you can look to for support and some guidance to navigate your own feelings. But before we get into this episode, take some time right now to rate this show, Misunderstood, 5 stars. You guys know I really enjoy coming on the mic every single week, and I've never missed a week. And this is proof. Me coming out of the hospital literally this morning, I am now on the mic. All right. So your girl is committed to the cause, and this show feels like it's bigger than me. And yes, it started as a passion project because I wanted to share my heart and share my voice, but it turned into so much more. And you guys know, tears will probably be shed in this episode. Anything that has to do with something shitty happening, tears will probably be shed. So get ready. This will be an emotional one. Also, if you hear construction noises, I'm so sorry. If you hear New York City sounds, I'm so sorry. I'm recording in my apartment like I usually do, but right now there is so much construction happening for the building. But we have to record this episode, so just stick with me. All right. Like I said, this is an emergency episode. I usually don't even record on Wednesdays. Today's Wednesday as I'm filming this. We had to get it done. Anyways, all of that is to say, please take some time to rate the show 5 stars on Apple and Spotify if you have not already. I know that there are so many loyal listeners, and I appreciate you guys. So please also give back to the podcast in a very free and easy way by rating the show 5 stars. Also, remember to follow the podcast on Spotify and Apple so that you see when the episodes go live. They do go live every single Monday morning. That has never changed, but following the podcast keeps you updated. So remember to do that as well. Thank you so much. First off, I don't know if the mic is picking up my raspiness in my voice. I can hear it, but I don't know if it's picking up. This is not how my voice usually sounds. And the reason why my voice sounds like this is because there was a tube in my throat yesterday when I was taken into emergency surgery. So we will, of course, get into that actually right now. So first off, we're setting the scene. Like I said, the title of this episode is Listen to This When Life Doesn't Go As Planned. First off, there will be a lot of things in life that don't go as planned. I wasn't planning on having emergency surgery yesterday. Also, just saying this at the very top of this episode before we proceed, there is no notes on this episode. Like I said, I'm coming straight from the hospital. I took a shower. I got a little bit ready, but there's no notes for this episode. We are going to just raw dog it and speak from the heart fully. I always do, but most of my episodes I do brainstorm, and I have some notes that I reference just so that my thoughts sound cohesive as I'm saying it. Of course, they sound cohesive in my head, but sometimes you just need to write things down, right? So that's actually how I formulate pretty much all the episodes. I have something written down. The only thing I had written down for this, which I wrote at the hospital, is that this is the title of this episode. That's all I wrote down. And I knew that I was just going to talk and see where we take this chat. All right. So this will probably be a shorter episode just because I know that when I pre-brainstorm, I have more time to think of more things. And hey, after filming this, I might have wanted to say more things, but stick with me, bear with me. Your girl just got out of surgery and she's doing the best she can. Going back to the title of this episode, which is Listen to This When Life Doesn't Go As Planned. There are so many times in your life that life will not go as planned. And I don't know about you, but I am the type of personality that likes to plan things out and likes to have a clear-ish vision of what's going to happen in my day-to-day, in my week-to-week, month-to-month. I plan for my yearly goals, things like that. A lot of people do as well, of course. But what do you do when life doesn't go as planned? What do you do when you have a friendship breakup? When you break up with your boyfriend or your girlfriend? What do you do when you get suddenly fired from work? What do you do when you are taken into emergency surgery? And one thing about me, if I don't laugh, I'll cry. And I am trying to make light of everything that happened yesterday. So let's actually just dive into yesterday. Let's go back to 2 days ago, Monday, March 30th. I woke up, I went to the gym, I went to PT, I had a normal day, literally my average normal day. I was working pretty much all day after going to the gym and going to PT. I had a call with my baby sister, I meal prepped, everything was normal. It was a normal day. Around 6 p.m. on Monday, my stomach, specifically my lower right abdomen, was in truly excruciating pain. I have never felt that pain ever in my life. I'm a very healthy person. You guys know I take care of myself. I talk about that all the time, so we don't have to get into that. But I felt this sharp, very sudden pain. And I was definitely alarmed by it, but I didn't know what to make of it. And I also try not to worry myself because a lot of the pain that I experience goes away within a few hours. So I said, okay, it's evening. I'm just going to get through work. I'm going to eat a small dinner and I'm going to go to bed. All the while, still in pain. I wake up twice in the middle of the night with this pain still really bothering me. And I say, okay, this is strange. This is not normal, of course. I wake up the next morning. It's around 8 a.m. And I told myself, all right, I have to listen to my gut. If I am still having a ton of pain, I need to call the doctor. So I called the doctor around 8 a.m. and my primary care doctor wasn't open yet. The on-call nurse was taking over the line and I explained the situation. I explained my symptoms and she immediately said, you need to just go straight to the ER. We're just going to bypass the primary care visit because this actually sounds a lot more serious, which of course, when someone tells you that, that starts to make you freak out. So anywho, within 20 minutes after I finished up the phone call, I just put on some sweats. I didn't even shower. I didn't even brush my teeth because I really started to panic because I was like, what is wrong? What is going on? So I literally just had sweats on and a sweatshirt and my sneakers and my bag, ran out the door, went to the hospital. I went to NYU Langone. They said to just walk into the emergency room, which just felt so strange that I was just walking into the emergency room in the morning, just casually. So I walk in, I get my wristband, vitals, ask me questions, everything. And every single time that I retold the story of my symptoms, every single nurse who was talking to me got more concerned. So again, if they're concerned, I should probably be concerned. They were doing a series of tests. We did my urine, we did my blood, we did an ultrasound, and we did a CAT scan. So I was in the hospital for hours. They did everything possible to figure out what was going on. They ruled out appendicitis because that's what the CT scan was for. My urine was completely fine. My blood panel was completely fine. The ultrasound was showing something abnormal. My right ovary was twisted, which I came to learn after they explained it. That is called ovarian torsion, which is essentially where your ovary twists. And when your ovary twists, then the ovary is not getting adequate blood supply. And if your ovary is not getting adequate blood supply, it can die. And if your ovary dies, then you don't have an ovary. I was so shocked and stunned when the nurse told me this. So again, this is after being in the hospital for 3 hours. I got there at around 10 and around, I believe 1:30 is when all the tests were done and they walked over to me in the waiting room and they said, all right, this is what's going on. And we believe that emergency surgery is necessary. And then I just started crying my eyes out because I woke up yesterday feeling not well, but the fact that it was to the extent of needing emergency surgery is actually the scariest thing ever. I was panicking. I was uncontrollably crying. They had to literally take me to a room and calm me down. So many other OBGYN doctors and surgeons came into the room one at a time, explaining what was going on and the extent of everything and their professional opinion on the fact that I am 31, I'm young, I'm healthy. They want to, of course, save my ovary. Yes, you have two ovaries if you don't know, but they want to save that ovary, which totally makes sense. That was the smartest course of action, of course. I was just really overwhelmed for many reasons. If you are new here, if this is the first episode you're listening to, this is a lot, but I got surgery in February for my knee. So we're already 2 surgeries in, back to back. That is already sending me into a spiral. Second, I'm getting surgery on a reproductive organ. That is terrifying. That is so terrifying. I just couldn't even think. I couldn't even comprehend what was going on. Everything was happening so fast, which is why I just started crying and I just didn't know what to do and I was panicking. And naturally, my brain was just going to the worst case scenario. But so many doctors came into the room and reassured me that this is honestly the best course of action. And this is more terminology if you don't know, but with an ovarian torsion, the only way to fix it is to have surgery. There's no other way to fix it. They literally have to manually go in and untwist it. I also had a cyst on my right ovary. Cysts are normal for anybody new. And yes, cysts, that word sounds like a scary word, of course. I've had cysts all throughout college, growing up. Those are normal when they're a normal size. Mine was a normal size. Everything was fine. But they said, while we're in there, we're just going to drain the cyst and remove it entirely because that could have also attributed to the intense pain that I was having. So it is just insane. It is insane that all of this happened yesterday. And literally, I was taken into surgery less than an hour after them telling me what happened. Actually, I would say that it was 30 minutes. Within 30 minutes of them telling me what happened, then they were grabbing all the paperwork and they got me into the gown and they brought anesthesia in and they were explaining everything. And I was inundated with so many bits of information about my body and my life and having to plan for things that I wasn't planning for and having to adapt to the situation at hand. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to health, especially with me, when it comes to health, I take that so seriously. And yes, it's inconvenient. And yes, it was scary, but it needed to happen. It needed to happen. I would have been a fool if I didn't take their advice and if I didn't go through with it. Yes, everyone has a choice, of course, and everyone can decide to forego medical help. But I know that this was in my best interest to get done. And I did it. I did it scared. I did it so scared. And I was a ball of emotions naturally. But when I went into the operating room, the very sweet nurse held my hand and I just started uncontrollably crying. I was uncontrollably crying and they had to put the gas mask on me so that I can calm down. But also the gas mask is how they administered the anesthesia. So probably within 10 seconds of the mask going on, mind you, I'm still bawling my eyes out, laying on the operating room table, bawling my eyes out, squeezing the nurse's hand. The mask is on me, anesthesia is going through. So that scene was probably just very intense. I can't even imagine what they thought. Well, obviously they're professionals and they do this all the time. So they're just mentally trained to be okay. But if it was any normal person, if I saw myself in that situation, I would just be uncontrollably crying all over again. It was scary and it was hard. The surgery was 30 minutes. It was a very short surgery, they said. The anesthesia is very powerful. So I probably woke up an hour after they were done and I was just in the biggest daze. I remember being in a completely different room. There were snacks next to me. I couldn't even talk because my throat was so clogged from the tube. The tube was taken out, but just my airway was completely clogged and I was croaking. I could barely talk and I was so dehydrated. I couldn't even swallow. It's like I had no moisture in my body. And even after drinking water right then and there, I still felt so parched. I quite literally did not have any moisture in my body. So it was intense. It was hard. Got 3 incisions, 1 in my belly button and then 2 right on my bikini line on both sides. And the surgeon came and talked to me. 3 different nurses came and talked to me. Actually, around the clock, all the nurses, all the staff came to talk to me, which was really, really great. This was an amazing hospital also, by the way. I mean, not that I want to go back for something wrong, but I was in really, 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 really good hands. And I was really thankful for that. And of course, I always say it could have been a lot worse. It really could have. And thankfully, everything was fine. My ovaries are completely fine. This morning, when I woke up, the head nurse, the one who was holding my hand during surgery, she said that they tested everything and you are completely normal. You are completely fine. There's nothing to worry about. The unfortunate thing about what happened is that it was truly classified as a freak accident. There's nothing that I did that caused it, which also means that there's nothing that can prevent it. It could happen again, unfortunately, but this was a true freak accident. Those were her words. She literally said, this could happen to literally anybody. No one can prevent something like this. And the ovaries can just move around as they want to. That's not ideal. And it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it is always cause for emergency surgery. So that is what happened yesterday. And I also stayed overnight because I was having so much pain. I ended up waking up around 5 p.m. So actually, I feel like the anesthesia was really, really strong because the surgery was at 2 and I woke up at 5, but the actual surgery was 30 minutes. So I was out for a long time. And then I, of course, had a ton of pain. They gave me the highest level of medicine. I was on Oxy for probably 4 hours. I was so loopy. I called my younger sister, telling her about everything and was crying to her, of course. I was just venting about how I feel and also letting her know that it just sucks to feel like something is recurringly, I don't think that's a word, whatever, I'm going to use it, recurringly wrong with me. I am having a series of events from February and now this. It just makes me feel sad. And it's okay to feel sad. And it is okay to have emotions towards the negative things that are happening in your life. But it was great to talk to her and she was really reassuring and she's the best. But after talking with her and after being on the meds for a while and the pain was still really bad, they said that I can stay overnight in the hospital, which was an interesting experience. I had never stayed overnight in a hospital, but like I said, the facility was great. It was a beautiful facility and I felt really comfortable. I had my own room. I had a flat screen TV. I was fine for the most part, but usually that type of surgery is a same day surgery, meaning you have the surgery and you leave after the surgery. But I was just having a little more pain than usual. So they said, don't worry, you can stay overnight, which I did. And I woke up this morning, had breakfast there and got my discharge papers and came home. I took a shower right when I got here and here we are. Here we are sitting and recording this podcast after leaving the hospital literally 2 hours ago. I was in the hospital. Wow. Life is so crazy. Life is so weird like that, where you don't know what's going to happen. And yeah, I kind of have a lot of fear associated to that. I think it's normal to have a lot of fear associated to not knowing if things are going to work out. There's a lot of things in life that are very unsettling and very scary and very jarring. I mean, you can literally insert anything in your life that isn't going as planned. Losing a family member, losing your job, losing a friend, breaking up with a significant other, having surgery very unexpectedly. There are so many things that we cannot plan for, but we have to find the silver lining. And that's another thing I was telling my sister on the phone, where that's why I try to be as optimistic as possible. And there's nothing wrong with being optimistic. I think being optimistic is a really good way to see the light in the dark. See the light through the negative. I feel like that is one of my best coping mechanisms, to remember that things could have been worse, which is an optimistic way to look at something. I could have gotten a worse hand dealt, but this is the path that was shown to me. Even though it's still not ideal, it could be worse. That does help me remember that everything will be okay. For anybody who is struggling with something right now, I really want you to take some time right now to think about that and to hold space for it. Because the other thing is, I feel like when these random occurrences happen, they don't happen often, but when they happen, I'm embarrassed, weirdly, and I'm mad and frustrated, of course. Those are all pretty regular emotions, I would say, but I didn't do anything wrong. None of this is my fault, and none of what happens to you is your fault. Someone walking away in your life is not your fault. You losing your job is not your fault. A family member passing, it's not your fault. But you do feel, of course, personally affected by what happens. So the question really is, how do we navigate life when things go wrong? When we are dealt something that is insurmountable and that is hard to handle, how do we navigate these situations? Like I already said, I try my best to look at the positive and I try my best to be an optimist. And I would say I am pretty optimistic about life in general, which I think that's what gives me this outlook on life, which is a beautiful thing. I also try to remember that a negative occurrence in your life and something that wasn't planned and something that's not ideal doesn't mean life ends. Life doesn't end because one thing didn't go as planned. We do have the opportunity to rewrite our narrative. And I think that's something that's really important to me because there are so many other things outside of this really major thing that happened yesterday. There's so many other things that have not gone as planned and that make me feel stuck and scared and sad, but I got up again. I made sure that I was okay again. And here's the thing a lot of people don't want to hear, but it's the truth. A lot of what we experience is not going to be an immediate fix. We have to literally sit with the pain as hard as it is, and we have to get through it step by step. And that's how I feel right now. I am in so much pain right now. And I know I'm not saying that to flex or anything, but I'm in a lot of pain right now. And I still wanted to find the silver lining. And hey, this is how I do it. Speaking about the things that are struggles helps me overcome them. And I know that it also helps other people know that they're not alone. That is my why. That's why I do what I do. And also, please remember that there's no gold medal for holding in your emotions. Emotions are meant to be felt. So yeah, when life doesn't go as planned, I'm not saying to just be an optimist overall and not let yourself feel things. Please feel the feelings because you can't get over it unless you move through it. So yesterday consisted of a lot of crying and a lot of being sad and venting with people and sitting with the fact that this is my reality. Yes, I'm 31 years old and now I have had 3 surgeries. Insane. That's insane. But I'm okay. I am a healthy, young person. I have so much more in me. And although this feels like a bump in the road, it isn't over. I'm still me. I'm still walking. I'm still able. The pain is temporary. It'll go away. And I will continue to live my life. And the last thing I want you guys to remember when it comes to things that happen in your life that don't go as planned, I want you to remember all the things that do go right. All the little things that we get to do every day on autopilot that we don't even realize are gems and blessings. The fact that you get to live where you live, you have the friends that you have that care about you and show up for you, the fact that you have a job that you love, the fact that you have found your purpose in life and you are actively pursuing it. And yes, this goes into being an optimist, but I think it is really, really important to remember how there's so many things that are going right, to pivot focus on those rather than sulking. But again, it is okay to feel our feelings. Step 1 is feeling what you're feeling. If something's happening, of course, feel it, vent, cry, go through all the emotions associated with it. But then after that, we have to think of all the things that are really good, because there are a lot of really good things that I don't want you to discount. And then when we do think about all the things that really did not go as planned, there's so many ways to go about it. There's so many ways to circumvent the situations. For example, if you lost your job, that's okay, because you're going to get another one and you're going to actually probably get a better job. I do believe there is a theory to this where you lose a job and then you get a better one and you get one that's more fitting and more aligned with you. That's definitely what happened with me. So I know it to be true, but I've also seen a lot of other people have that same trajectory. So I believe that wholeheartedly. You have a breakup? Well, he probably wasn't the best person and he probably wasn't treating you like you deserved, which is probably why you broke up. So a better person is around the corner. I say this all the time. I mean, it's been almost 5 years at this point, but when I broke up with my ex at the time, I promised myself I'm going to stay single until I feel really comfortable to get into a relationship, and I'm not just going to settle. And I know that there's so much better out there for me, and I believe that for you as well. And if you have a friendship breakup and you find out that a friend isn't really your friend, it sucks. I feel like friendship breakups are arguably harder than relationship breakups. In that same vein, those people weren't your people, and now you're just ready to welcome the people who are for you. This has happened to me many times over, but I finally found the people who really see me, understand me, and care about me deeply. I told all my friends about what happened yesterday, and all of them said, all right, I'm coming over. What do you need? I'll stop by. Checking in on me today as well. Those are good friends. Those are great friends. And I am so lucky and so happy that I waited and I went through the shitty to get to the good. Because a lot of life is like that. And I'm not here to sugarcoat. I'm just here to be honest and share with love that there's going to be a lot of really shitty things that happen in your life, but around the corner, there's so much good. I believe it because I've been through it. I can only speak from experience. And actually, I've had a lot of experience in a lot of areas of life, which lends to why I have all these stories that are very fitting for the podcast. But like I said, insert anything here. Anything that didn't go as planned, that caught you off guard, that makes you question your reality. Think of everything and realize that there's so much, quite literally so much that is out of our control. And a lot of life is truly about rolling with the punches. And it's tough for girls like me who like to have structure and order and have a plan. I've always been like that. But growing up and maturing really illuminated the fact that I need to take life as it comes and be adaptable. Be adaptable to change. Be adaptable to things going wrong, but also realizing that I can make it right. I can make it right by my attitude and how I show up in a situation. I can make it right by taking care of myself and go seeking help and resources. There's so many things we cannot control in life, but there are also so many things we can, and that is what we have to focus on. And with that, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Misunderstood. Remember to rate the show on Apple and Spotify 5 stars and follow it wherever you are listening. Join our Geneva group chat. It is always linked in the description of every single podcast episode. Hang out with me on my other socials, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Pinterest at nkmadani. And I will talk to you guys in my next one.